Okay. All right. Relevant Secret Service divisions for the J6 events. Secret Service protects the President, Vice President, and other protectees and ensures the safety and security of key locations and events of national significance. Several divisions within the Secret Service were integral in planning for and conducting protective operations on J6 and responding to the day's events. Namely, the Office of Protective Operations, the Protective Intelligence and Assessment Division, and the Technical Security Division. USSS/OPO has more than 1,000 special agents and more than 1,500 uniformed division officers to carry out its mission. They're organized into different divisions. Okay. We don't need this. I don't care. Let's see. The Secret Service planned for routine protective operations at the White House Ellipse, the U.S. Capitol, and the DNC building on J6, 2021. Although the Secret Service did not anticipate or plan for the level of violence that ultimately occurred that day, the Secret Service took actions to respond to and mitigate the threats it encountered, avoid any harm to its protectees, and assist the USCP. Leading up to J6, the Secret Service prepared 2 threat assessments that did not convey a high potential for violence on January 6th. The Secret Service anticipated that the planned Ellipse rally would be like previous pro-Trump rallies that took place in November-December 2020. At those events, there was some violence, but those events mainly involved opposing demonstration groups and did not have a high potential to impact protective operations. However, at the White House Ellipse rally, Secret Service personnel observed indicators of potential for violence outside the secure area. This included numerous individuals wearing body armor, communicating via radios, climbing trees, and avoiding entry to the secure area, where they would have to pass through magnetometers. Is that what we said? That's what it's called. When the president requested to go to the Capitol following his speech at the rally, the president's detail leader said that going to the Capitol was infeasible and the motorcade had to return to the White House. At the Capitol, the Secret Service treated the vice president's visit as a standard visit, which included Even so, the Secret Service secured the vice president during the reach. Okay, hold on. Let's see. The Secret Service observed at the Ellipse rally individuals wearing body armor, communicating via radios, climbing trees, and avoiding entry through the magnetometers. Secured area. After violence erupted at the Capitol, the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief offered to assist USCP and sent blank officers to assist. The process of identifying White House personnel available for deployment while maintaining security of the White House resulted in an 80-minute delay before personnel were deployed. Jesus. These officers provided security for members of Congress and staffers sheltering at the Dirksen Senate Office building. Meanwhile, at the DNC building, the Secret Service evacuated the Vice President-elect after the USCP discovered a pipe bomb. Pipe bomb had been placed near the building the night before, but Secret Service personnel did not identify it during their security sweep on the morning of January 6th. The VP-elect, traveling in an armored vehicle with her motorcade, entered the building via a ramp within 20 feet of the pipe bomb and was in the building for approximately 1 hour and 40 minutes before the pipe bomb was discovered, and she was subsequently evacuated. The Secret Service did not discover the pipe bomb. Instead, a pair of USCP officers discovered it while conducting a patrol around a similar pipe bomb, or after a similar pipe bomb was found at the Republican National Committee building a few blocks away. The Secret Service had not employed all of its explosive detection tactics and measure for the security sweep, instead providing only K-9 teams at the DNC building that day. Afterwards, the Secret Service did not report the building's evacuation as an unusual protective event, as required by its policies. More than a year later, the Secret Service initiated and completed an update to its policy to address gaps identified in its processes that may have contributed to the failure to discover the pipe bomb. Jeez. By USCP officers, on January 6th, outside of the DNC, passed by within 20 feet of about 2 hours earlier. You should point out that any evidence of a false flag operation could equally be understood as evidence of a red flag operation. Okay. Okay, too crazy. Let's calm down. No, too calm. Just okay. Jesus. Okay. During our review, we interviewed more than 100 Secret Service personnel involved in the preparation for and response to the events of J6. In addition, we obtained more than 183,000 emails. Secret Service Protective Mission relies heavily on maintaining awareness of intelligence information. In advance of J6, Secret Service prepared 2 reports that contained assessments about the likelihood of violence occurring on J6, but neither identified a high potential for the level of violence that occurred ultimately. Violence wasn't anticipated. USSPID staff share information with Secret Service leadership and protective personnel. Let's see. Published the March Return Protective Intelligence Brief. For each of the almost 60 demonstrations identified in the brief, intelligence staff reported the events showed no indication of civil disobedience. Let's see. The briefing done rather than blah, blah, blah. Okay, nice. Good redactions. Many of the groups planning to engage in demonstration activities on J6, blah, blah, blah. Verbal and physical altercations ensued between pro-Trump and anti-Trump supporters during both events as a result of the blank, blank, blank. There is a continued threat of low to mid-level violence instigated by blank. It also says that blank, further demonstration activity related to 20... Additional information about threats of violence to law enforcement and other government officials in the days preceding J6. This information was not included in the final USSS PID assessments. Is there anything else interesting in here? Or is it literally just the pipe bomb stuff? There's a lot of redacted shit in here. Because the Secret Service is not a member of the U.S. intel community, the component primarily relies on collaboration with partners such as for obtaining verified intelligence and information. Leading up to J6, the Secret Service did not receive any issued intelligence products from these people. On January 5th, Blank released situation report contains some information indicating a potential threat against the Capitol. Our review of emails and interviews with staff confirmed the Secret Service did not receive that report. Secret Service can receive intelligence and information from the Blank Secret Service Representative Service Task Force. The Secret Service arrested one individual inside the secure area with concealed wooden nunchucks during the ellipse speech. Over the course of the event, are you allowed to carry like wooden weapons? Is that like illegal in the US? Like if I carried like a wooden sword, could I get like in trouble for that? Secret Service has procedures for security preparations prior to a protected site visit. Oh, this I understand now. Thank God we get the flow chart. Yes. What would have happened if Trump led the crowd? His plan was to be there. Would it have gotten this out of hand if he was there? Does him not being allowed there change his overall motives? I don't know. I could see it going either way. It's just hard to predict with Trump. Like him being there could be a calming force on the crowd because they'd just be like sucking him off, like rallying around him instead of actually breaking shit. Or maybe he would be there encouraging people to be more violent. It's hard to say, right? Remember, this is the Trump at other rallies that said like, if you beat people up, I'll pay for a lawyer. Imagine how sick it would be to have a general, going into battle saying like, go forth, I'll pardon your crimes. Like, Jesus. Let's see. Abbreviated at limited notice because of... Coordination meetings and intelligence prior to the ellipse event did not raise alarms about high potential for violence. Okay, we get this. On J6, the Secret Service immediately encountered indicators of potential for violence at the ellipse. Counted indicators of potential violence within the crowd at the ellipse event. As shown in Figure 5, the Secret Service established a secure area with magnetometer checkpoints to screen anyone wishing to enter the event. Yet Secret Service officers and law enforcement partners observed weapons and prohibited items going or among the crowds outside the boundaries of the protected areas described below. For the individuals observed outside the secure area, the Secret Service's law enforcement partners, including the U.S. Park Police and the MPD, had appropriate jurisdiction. The morning of J6, the Secret Service tweeted a list of prohibited items for the ellipse event, which included body armor, firearms, and weapons of any kind. At 8:07 a.m., agents assigned to monitor the crowds outside the secure area for threats started reporting seeing people wearing ballistic helmets and body armor and carrying radio equipment and military-grade backpacks waiting to go through the main magnetometers. The Secret Service arrested one individual who brought a weapon through the magnetometer into the secure area at 9:40 a.m. A concerned citizen reported an individual removing nunchucks from his pant leg and placing them inside his jacket. What was he going to do? Secret Service official who interviewed the individual informed us that by bringing the weapon into the secure area, the individual could have harmed the protectee or other event attendees. Figure 6 shows the nunchucks. We can't even see them. Oh my god. These could be like crazy. These could be crazy nunchucks. We don't have to see them. Later that morning, local law enforcement partners shared reports of possible firearms within the crowd. At 11:28 a.m., the U.S. Park advised possible firearm with a Glock and with a rifle. Is there any indication why the devices they found didn't go off? Were they credible? For the pipe bombs? I have no idea. It's worth noting that they had no idea of the violence that was going to take place. It flies against the Fedsurrection claims. Whenever you believe in a conspiracy theory, remember, there is a transcendental idea. There is something that floats above all logic that can always explain every single thing. So no, right? If somebody truly believes in the Fedsurrection, there is no evidence that will disconfirm that belief. So yeah, you could easily point out, well, look, it looks like these guys didn't know that violence was going to happen. But then what they'll say is, oh, well, that's the Secret Service. It was the FBI that was managing this Fedsurrection. And it's like, okay, well, wouldn't they have fought with each other? And it's like, no, the FBI would have told them no. Okay, well, what if the FBI released a report like this? Well, obviously, they're not going to tell you about the Fedsurrection in their own reports that they released to the public, obviously, right? There's literally nothing you can say. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can say. Like, there will always be an explanation for why it was a Fedsurrection and why we don't know anything about it. Yeah. Check your carrier pigeon. Aswell wants on. You can just accept my Discord request or tweet DM me. There's like a million things you can do. I don't know why you're saying this in chat. I can't reach out to him. I have no way to contact him. Personal's Hip, Secret Service personnel coordinated with partners in the U.S. Park Police and MPD regarding these threats. Large crowds remained outside the secure area and did not seek entry through the magnetometer checkpoints. A Secret Service officer assigned the magnetometer at the ellipse said that people attempted to enter with motorcycle suits, ballistic vests, and gas masks, which the Secret Service seized. The officer also told us that a lot of people chose not to enter the secure area once they realized there were checkpoints with magnetometers. They would turn away to watch the speech from the street. These are items that they seized. Let's see. Motorcycle suit, ballistic vest, gas mask, taser. Concealed belt knife? Bro, what the fuck? Why? Jesus. By the conclusion of the ellipse event, Secret Service officers working the magnetometers had processed 28,000 individuals and seized a total of 605 prohibited items. Oh, that's, I should note that. Hold on. 1,000 people had entered the secured area of the rally. Let's see. Okay. Table 1. Prohibited items confiscated at the magnetometer checkpoints on January 6th. Jesus Christ. Okay. At the Ellipse security checkpoint, the Secret Service confiscated 269 knives/blades, 242 pepper sprays, 94 miscellaneous items. Uh-oh, what's that? Secret Service denied the president's request to go to the Capitol. As discussed above, whenever a protectee has a scheduled trip or movement, his or her staff notifies particular details so the Secret Service can plan accordingly. Some protectee may request an off-the-record movement. This is probably some kind of procedure for that they don't want to reveal. Service denied Trump's request to go to the Capitol. According to the president's detailed leader, during a meeting several days prior to the rally at the Ellipse, a White House staff member mentioned the idea of the president going to the U.S. Capitol after the rally on J6. The president's detail leader said he advised against this movement, saying it was not a good idea. Then redacted, especially because of the ongoing transition. Following that discussion, the White House staff did not make a formal request, and the Secret Service did not plan for a movement to the Capitol on January 6th. Okay. On January 5th at 5:37 p.m., a Secret Service agent assigned to the president's motorcade emailed the other assigned drivers that there was an unconfirmed rumor of a possible presidential move to the Capitol following the event at the Ellipse. The email indicated that the visit to the Capitol would be an off-the-record movement if it happened. The Secret Service official who sent the email informed us that he did not think an off-the-record movement to the Capitol was likely on J6 because that's the good parts. On January 6th at 11:58 a.m., President Trump arrived on stage at the Ellipse event. A.m. No, stop. Okay, Jesus. As a Trump and Destiny fan, I'd love the opportunity to talk to Destiny. Listen, we'll hop in the disagreements channel, okay? Maybe I'll try with a few people after I finish this. January 6th, President Trump arrived on stage. Okay, during his speech, he announced that he would go with protesters to the Capitol. He did say that. We remember that. A Secret Service official who was backstage said that a military aide told him that the president had announced he would go with the protesters to the Capitol and asked whether the Secret Service had a way to get the president to the Capitol. Said that a military aide. Interesting. The Secret Service official informed the military aide that the typical motorcade route was not possible because of the attendees marching to the Capitol. Exercising due diligence, the Secret Service agent then contacted an MPD point of contact to plan potential logistics in case the movement did happen. According to the Secret Service agent, the MPD point of contact began to determine a potential route to the Capitol for that scenario. At 1:16 p.m., after concluding his speech, the president enters his limousine. There were blank Secret Service agents in the limousine with the president, and no one else. According to the number of agents, once the motorcade was en route to the White House, the president requested to go to the Capitol. The detail leader informed the president that going to the Capitol was infeasible, and the motorcade had to return to the White House. During the June 20, 2022 hearing of the U.S. House Select Committee to investigate the J6 attacks on the U.S. Capitol, a witness testified. Was her name Hutchinson? We watched, I think. Let's see. Witness testified that the White House Deputy Chief of Staff told her that the president attempted to grab the steering wheel of the limousine and lunged toward the Secret Service detail lead when his request to go to the Capitol was denied. The OIG did not interview this witness, who was not a DHS employee, because transcripts of her committee testimony and committee staff interview were publicly available. We attempted to interview the Deputy Chief of Staff. However, after encountering 4 months of delays in response to our efforts to schedule and conduct the interview, we provided questions for written response. In response to our questions about this incident, we received the following message. I do not recall being made aware of any details about the president's return trip to the White House, and as such, I do not recall speaking with anyone about it. Okay. We also interviewed blank Secret Service agents in the limousine with the president. The limousine driver said that the president was angry when his request to go to the Capitol was denied, whereas the president's detail lead, who was seated in front of the president, said he did not recall if the president was angry. We asked some agents whether the president reached for the steering wheel of the limousine or lunged towards the detail lead when his request to go to the Capitol was denied, and blank witnesses said those actions did not occur. There's that. Secret Service secured the vice president after the Capitol breach, but narrowly avoided encounters with rioters. Secret Service treated the VP's January 6th visit to the Capitol as a standard visit without any special precautions or heightened security. This included following USCP's practice of blanks or limited contingency planning and communication challenges. Secret Service secured the vice president during the breach of the Capitol. There were some near encounters with rioters. The Secret Service considered evacuating the VP to his residence, but he did not want to leave. And the protective detail eventually considered their location secure. God, what a fucking boss. After the Capitol was cleared of protesters, the Secret Service escorted the vice president back to chambers to resume election certification proceedings. What's the likelihood of January 6 2.0, considering the Trump tards are even more? Probably not high, I would imagine, because I'm sure the security is going to be much, much, much higher. And now that people have been arrested and like thrown into prison for it for a long time, like the planning of it, you're probably looking over seditious conspiracy charges. And I'm sure people are going to be looking out more for, like, intelligence is probably going to be trying to monitor more for seeing stuff like this happening. That'd be my guess. But the protected detail eventually considered. Okay, Secret Service followed a standard process for routine visits to the Capitol, including detail regularly visits the Capitol due to protect his role in Congress. Secret Service provide protected detail members. Okay, we got it. Fishing staff. They also manage. Jesus. Due to communication challenges and limited kitchen planning, Secret Service protected detail only narrowly avoided rioters. Things are getting crazy. On another side of Capitol grounds, USCP officers clashing with protesters. Location of the vice president's motorcade and surrounding protesters. Yeah, maybe Biden will do an insurrection next. How fucking... That wouldn't be base, never mind. Don't arrest me. Let's see, rioters reached the second floor at 2:15 p.m. USCP officer led them away from the direction of the VP's office towards the line of USCP officers. It's the one black dude on camera where they were like, he's leading them. If USCP had unsuccessful directing the protesters, they could have moved into the office and chamber area while the vice president's family was still there. The site agent told us the situation kept changing quickly. The evacuation path was clear of protesters one moment, then not clear the next. It's probably worth throwing in. Let's see. 2:15 p.m. Reached the second floor where USCP officer January 6th officer leads Wait, was that his name? Is it Goodman? Is this the... I'm trying to think if this is the event that they're talking about.
It's off.
Shut up.
Capitol Police.
Shut up.
At a
Shut
black
up.
Mob on his heels. He shouted in his radio. Second floor! Meaning the mob was reaching the Senate chamber. At the top of the stairs, Goodman looked left.
Okay, I think that's what this is referring to, right? The rioters reached the second floor at 2:15 p.m., where a USCP officer led them away from the direction of the vice president's office towards a line of USCP officers. If the USCP had been unsuccessful in directing the protesters, they could have moved into the office and chamber area while the VP and his family were still there. The site agent told us the situation kept changing quickly. The evacuation path was clear, protesters one moment, then not clear the next. Figure 14 shows the proximity of the vice president to rioters in the Capitol Senate wing on January 6th. So at 2:12, Vice President Pence moved from the Senate chambers to the vice president's office. 2:15, rioters reached the second floor of the Senate wing. Oh, so the cop is pushing him here. He is looking to the left and it's down here. I'm assuming here. And then he ends up going through one door.
Between those chairs, the doors to the Senate floor, still open. Here's the moment that mattered. Goodman pushed this mob leader wearing a black QAnon t-shirt. It was a ruse to lure them away from the Senate chamber, and there, finally,
and then here's
backup arrived.
It was his heroic
line of
actions
shots
that may have made a difference.
By then, the Senate chamber was sealed. No, it's not. Officer Eugene Goodman.
So USCP officer Eugene Goodman. Rioters. Nah, insurrectionists. Away from the... Vice President's office, where Pence was it just Pence there? Oh, Pence and his family. Held by the Secret Service. The site agent also told us that additional personnel would have been helpful while moving the VP. Redact. So not to evacuate the Capitol grounds. Vice President's detail safely moved the VP from his office, blank, without incident. During this time, the detail leader said that he and the VP discussed relocating from the Capitol. According to notifications from the Secret Service's Operations Center, there were initial plans to evacuate the Capitol and go to the Vice President's residence. The Vice President did not want to leave the Capitol grounds. Detail staff said they were not aware of the developments outside the building, including protesters erecting a gallows and noose and yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." Once the vice president was moved, the detail leader worked to determine a plan of action and whether to leave the Capitol grounds. The detail leader said he was monitoring motorcade routes in case an evacuation was needed. The detail leader also told us he took the vice president's desire not to leave the Capitol grounds into consideration. Ultimately, the detail leader determined there was no reason to leave the secure location. At 2:49 p.m., the detail notified this that they'd... Okay. According to some agents, they were not receiving communications from various entities, such as the Protective Intelligence Operations Center. According to the Secret Service agents, the USCP and NPD officers in the area could use their radios to maintain necessary communications with their counterparts. Ultimately, blank, everyone remains safe. I'm curious if there's like a standard in any country, or if, like, if anybody does this, where when you've got like multiple things or bodies that are operating in the same area, is there like any standard procedure for everybody to just fall in line or fall under control from like one thing? Or I wonder if this is better. Like, it seems a little clusterfucky that you've got, how many different bodies are operating here? You've got like the Secret Service, you've got the Capitol Police, you've got the Metropolitan Police Department, you've got the National Guard that ends up coming in. You've got like, it just seems like It seems like a clusterfuck, maybe. Or maybe not. Maybe the communication this way does work better. I imagine. I guess it must if they have it, if they still have it all divided this way. from select Secret Service personnel. The Secret Service did not provide these records while we conducted our field work. On March 31st, the Secret Service provided a screenshot of only one text message exchange in response to our February 2021 initial information request. Jeez. When the dispute over access to emails began, as discussed above, the OIG subsequently limited the original June 11th request to focus on emails, removing the requirement for immediate production of text messages. On July 27, 2021. On December 3rd, 2021, the OIG renewed the request for text messages from select Secret Service employees relevant to our review. On February 23rd, 2022, the Secret Service informed us that it had wiped all phones when it updated software in the January to April 2021 timeframe. They did not have backup files, and they could not provide the information, not merely that it was unavailable. After our fieldwork was complete in December 2022, the Secret Service provided 13 images of text messages that identified in response to a FOIA request. I feel like an OIG should have some kind of like policy or something that keeps that like requires you to make and store and send a backup somewhere, or like an image or whatever, like in the event of, in case you need to inspect something or investigate something, right? Throughout our inspections, the Secret Service personnel indicated they would not provide documents directly to the OIG without the documents first going through an internal review. The Secret Service did not provide the authorities supporting the additional level of internal review. This practice also left unclear whether the OIG ultimately received a complete and accurate response. On 3 occasions, when documents were finally produced, they contained redactions. Secret Service did not indicate who approved or applied the redactions or why such redactions were originally made, thereby requiring OIG to spend time making inquiries to obtain the unredacted documents, which is required by law. Jesus, this is like a super fucked and cucked. Reported several significant issues when it came to obtaining evidence from the Secret Service, including wiped phones, redacted documents, refusal to turn over emails without being allowed to internally review first. The DHS OIG reported those delays in our semi-annual report to Congress for the period ending on September 30th, 2021, and again in our report for the period ending March 31st, 2022. In addition, on July 13th, 2022, the Inspector General sent a letter to members of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs and the House Committee on Homeland Security to notify them of the DHS's delays and denials of access to information, including the Secret Service's deletion of text messages. On July 15th, 2022, the Inspector General, senior staff, and the DHS OIG inspectors briefed the House January 6 Select Committee about Secret Service delays and denials of access to DHS information. Yo, why do we have all these fucking congressional interviews for people soying out about the Trump assassination attempt? If this information was made available to Congress, why didn't I hear anybody in Congress complaining about this? This seems a little bit fucked, no? Hold on. I'm sorry. No, I won't. And if you think I need to, you're beyond fucking retarded. I keep seeing this. Just watch the video with the flat earther. Overall, you crushed him, but you've got to come up with a better rebuttal to the Kamala assault weapon ban clips. No, I don't. It's very obvious when you listen to her speak that she's talking about banning importing assault weapons. Like, the fact that you would even, like, it's so beyond obvious. Like, if just as a heads up, if you're making a comment like that on my server, like, oh, like, she obviously meant this, you're permabanned. You are beyond bad faith and fucking retarded if you think she let it slip that she would, by executive action, ban all assault weapons and, like, nobody was talking about it. Like, that's fucking retarded. No, that would be like a huge policy announcement. The President of the United States was going to executive action ban all assault weapons. It's obvious that she would, when she's like, and I'll take executive action to ban assault weapons, in the importation of assault weapons, like, that's what she was saying. She flubbed her words. You're actually fucking retarded. It's the only time she's ever said that. Like, you're pretending like she just announced one of the most major anti-firearm policy positions ever as a nominee, and nobody, like, it's so stupid. It's so obvious. Jesus Christ is fucking retarded. DHS OIG reported these delays in our semi-annual report. I wonder if the J6 report mentions this to the Inspector General. Analysis. Huh. Secret Service. This isn't going to... There's way too many hits for this. Wait, what was that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Whatever. And that's it? Is that the end? Establishing the OIG. I'm surprised this, or maybe I'm not. I feel like it should have been made a bigger deal out of. There's no point. There's no point in having an Office of Inspector General if you're, if the department that your Office of Inspector Generaling is hiding all their shit from you and then deleting their shit and not turning anything over. Huh. Let's see. Memorandum. Oh, and she was even the director at the time. This is the lady that just stepped down because they said that she fucked up the thing, right? This is her? Yeah, resigns. Okay. The Secret Service leadership. I don't think she meant all assault weapons, but the clip from her Facebook has an "and" in between assault weapons and the importation of them. It sounds like she's flubbing her words. Go like 40 seconds in.
During high school.
Did you link me something that I actually can't go forward and back in? I actually fucking hate that you linked me this video.
School or middle school or elementary.
And there's no volume control.
Or even in college, where you learned about how you need to hide in a closet or crouch in a corner in the event that there is a mass shooter roaming the hallways of your school. Look at that.
Based.
Look at that.
They're well prepared.
And here's the thing. It terrorized you. It is traumatizing. I don't want that any of our children
and it mutes when I tab out.
should have to sit in class when you should be paying attention to what's happening in the front of the classroom, letting your mind open up to the wonders of science, math, or art, or whatever, and instead have to be worried about who's going to come banging through the door carrying some kind of weapon. Leaders need to lead on this issue. And so I'm telling you, when elected, if Congress fails to act, I'll give them 100 days to put a bill on my desk for signature. And if they do
A pill on her desk? Did she also want drugs too?
not do it, I will put in place by executive action a comprehensive background check requirement and a ban on the assault weapons and importation of assault weapons into our country. I'm done.
Like, why would she need to ban the importation of assault weapons if she's already banning all assault weapons? Like, it doesn't even make sense. Like, she flubbed. She means, because these are the things that you can probably do by executive action, is importation of shit and the, and maybe background checks. I don't know. The ATF might be able to expand that, maybe through executive action. But like, unless you can show me like a real speech or like a real debate or a real argument or a position on a website or a tweet where she's like clearly stating by executive action, I'm going to ban all assault weapons. Like, it's just not. It's fucking retarded. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Flubbed it 3 times in the exact same way. Wait, exotic IRL, link the, or exotic 8. Where's the other times where she flubbed it the exact same way? Yeah, why would she do background checks and bans? Or maybe she meant background checks for all guns. So can we finally admit that sometimes Trump misspeaks? Trump doesn't have a problem misspeaking. Trump is just retarded, and everything he says is retarded. People don't make fun of Trump for misspeaking. They make fun of him because he sounds like an idiot, and he appeals to other idiots. That's why people make fun of Trump. This is at a campaign rally. Bro, I hate Facebook's non-logged in interface. Holy shit. I hope that she's not talking about Congress passing laws here and you're linking to this.
We who believe in the sacred freedom to vote will make sure every American has the ability to cast their ballot and have it counted. We who believe that every person in our nation who should have the freedom to live safe from the terror of gun violence will finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Pass. Why does it mute every time you rewind?
Will finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
Pass. Pass is legislation.
And we who believe in reproductive freedom
Holy shit, Facebook.
will stop.
Okay. The Secret Service leadership, however, strongly disagrees with the draft report's mischaracterization of the agency's response to the OIG's request for information, which in many respects is inaccurate and misleading. Throughout this review, the Secret Service made every effort to coordinate with the OIG and submit timely responses to OIG's vast number of concurrent and at times duplicative requests for interviews, documentation, and other information. Moreover, several OIG requests were so wide-ranging in scope that they warranted discussion with both the OIG and the department to clarify what was being asked for and how best to provide it. Specifically, OIG's requests included asking for access to highly sensitive information held by the Secret Service, majority of which was unrelated to the January 6, 2021 attacks. While the Secret Service is fully committed to cooperating with the OIG, the Inspector General Act of 1978, as amended, does not prohibit the Secret Service from making inquiries to ensure the appropriate disclosure and safeguarding sensitive information. In fact, it may be necessary for it to for example, the OIG requested all email, text messages, and phone communications from several Secret Service personnel, as well as email servers from December 7th, 2020 through January 8th, 2021. Given that the OIG's all-encompassing request included the most senior levels of Secret Service leadership, e.g. the director, deputy director, chief operating officer, etc., there was no doubt those communications contained highly sensitive materials unrelated to the OIG's review. On June 22nd, 2021, the Secret Service therefore requested that the OIG reduce the scope of the inquiry. Okay, so on June 11th, they got this request. They responded 10 days later, requesting that the OIG reduce the scope of the inquiry to enable the Secret Service to provide materials specifically relevant to the OIG's review. The Secret Service further requested an opportunity to internally review the communications prior to providing them to the OIG due to the agency's obligation to protect certain information under the Presidential Records Act, requirements related to sensitive information regarding techniques for safeguarding persons and property, and needs to know under the Privacy Act of 74. Secret Service with the Support of Others Department raised concerns to the OIG about the breadth of its June 2021. Oh, okay, I see. After numerous discussions to reach an accommodation, the OIG maintained its position and the requested information was subsequently provided in October 2021. During this period and throughout the review, the Secret Service continued to respond to the OIG's many varied information data. Assuring the OIG report does not state anywhere the Secret Service text messages were inappropriately deleted. However, certain language in the report indicating the Secret Service wiped all phones when it updated software in the January to April 2021 timeframe and that it did not have backup records omits important context. The software update was part of a planned cell phone migration that was conducted from January 27, 2021 to April 1st, 2021. Inexplicably, the OIG report does not note this migration had been planned and scheduled many months prior to January 6, 2021, nor that Secret Service employees had been provided USSS preserve content guide for iPhone and iPad guidance as early as January 15th, 2020, which instructed them on how to create and save screen recordings of text message records. The January 6, 2021 text message exchange between the former USCP chief and the former Secret Service Uniform Division Chief regarding assistance responding to violence at the U.S. Capitol, referred to in the OIG's report, was one such screen recording that was ultimately provided to the OIG on March 31st, 2021. Oh, okay. This changes things a lot, I guess. Okay. The Secret Service advised the OIG on multiple occasions that any text messages beyond those already provided to the OIG would be unavailable due to the previously scheduled agency-wide cell phone system migration. It's also important to note that on the July 27, 2021, the OIG advised the department that the OIG's review would only focus on emails and would not require access to text or phone records. Okay, so maybe this is why there wasn't a backup or why they wouldn't have made one. However, more than 4 months later, on December 3rd, 2021, the OIG submitted another request for text messages for approximately 60 department employees and various components, including the Secret Service. On December 17th, the OIG received a timely and consolidated response to its December 3rd request. The department then followed up with the OIG on January 24th, 2022, to ensure the OIG had everything it needed after not having heard from the OIG. Okay, so more than a month later. Then on February 4th, 2022, the OIG stated that it needed additional and clarifying information before it could complete its review. Despite having already been told multiple times before that the Secret Service was unable to retrieve additional text messages, none of this context is included in the OIG's draft report. Okay. I wonder if, damn, does the OIG head respond to her response here? With regard to the draft report's assertion that the Secret Service does not provide documents directly to the OIG without the documents first going through an internal review, this is a further mischaracterization of agency efforts to be responsive to the OIG, which does a disservice to end users of the OIG's report. For years, to ensure proper internal coordination and timely responses to inquiries, and as a courtesy to help auditors conduct their work, the Secret Service has routinely coordinated most, if not all, OIG and U.S. Government Accountability Office requests for information through the Secret Service's Office of Professional Responsibility, which tracks the request to ensure timely responses and facilitates any clarifications needed between auditors and agency personnel as appropriate. On July 9th, the DHS OIG advised the RES that Secret Service personnel were to provide follow-up documentation, not through the RES, which the Secret Service promptly began honoring. Similarly, when the DHS OIG informed the Secret Service on March 24th of its concern that the Secret Service was delaying its responses by requiring review of records prior to submitting to the OIG, the Secret Service took immediate action to not only clarify with the OIG that the concern was unfounded, as there was no such requirement, but also ensure that the OIG received any outstanding requests for information as quickly as possible. RES also sent reminders to personnel in offices involved that the Secret Service must continue to provide complete and timely responses directly to the OIG. Moreover, each time the OIG notified RES that there was a delayed response to the OIG's requests or any other concern, RES resolved the issue as appropriate. However, because the OIG's limited RES's awareness of all incoming inquiries, it prevented the Secret Service from adequately tracking responses and in some cases, okay. Okay, interesting. Is there do they do a response to a response? The Secret Service Director. For sharing, for making available. Let's see. For Joseph V. Kufari. served for more than 20 years in the DOJ. Huh. Okay. I think I understand why they rejected some of these too. So like recommendation 2 is develop and implement protocols for providing civil disturbance unit support to law enforcement partners in the event of an emergency, such as what occurred on January 6th, to ensure appropriate and timely response. Response, non-concur. The Secret Service's primary mission and authority, including its pinnacle role in the continuity of the U.S. government, ultimately limits its ability to provide emergency support to other law enforcement partners. The Secret Service must always be prepared to dedicate its resources, especially during emergencies, to ensure continuity of executive branch leadership and government operations. Obligations to mutual aid agreements could result in compromising the agency's foremost responsibility to protect the White House and the president, as well as other protected sites and persons in the national capital region. That makes sense. The national capital region? What does that even mean? The District of Columbia, Montgomery and Prince George's counties of Maryland, Arlington. Why is capital here spelled with an A? Was created pursuant to the National Capital Planning Act of 1952. Would it be reasonable to assume that OIG staff has high enough security clearance that handing over documents to them shouldn't be an issue? In the United States of America, security clearances are given based upon the information that you need to know. You don't just get like, it's not like he's got black site security authorization. He can view any fucking thing he wants, right? Everything's on a need to know basis. I would say my guess, but like this would be so obvious that I would be shocked if it wasn't the case. Anytime you are making available any piece of information, capital is the city, capital is about, true. Anytime you're making available any kind of like secret information, anything with a classification marking on it, you probably have to establish whether or not that information needs to go to another person, right? Do they need to know this piece of information? Because otherwise what you end up with is like classified information just being shipped around fucking everywhere to everybody. And the risk of like people improperly like seeing stuff they shouldn't, or like a leak happening or something else is just like not, you don't want that happening. Does the president have clearance to view everything? I believe the president can say he wants to, because technically classification exists. Under which office? Classification. Who classifies documents? Is it the DOJ? Is it the State Department? Is it the Department of State? Wait. United States. Let's see. Executive order. Who does the... Properly classified a classification authority, an individual charged by the U.S. government the right and responsibility to properly determine the level of classification. Is there not like an office, a review of classification policies by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence? Oh, I guess there wouldn't be like a central office. That wouldn't make sense, because then those people literally would see every single classified thing, huh? I don't actually know how classification works in the U.S., like what the actual... who the actual people involved would be. Who classifies things in the United States? June 7th views. Yeah, I understand Kamala would support an assault weapons ban, 100%. I think like most mainstream Democrats would, because they hate our fucking freedoms, and they hate assault rifles because they're scary and black. Republicans hate other scary black things. But there's a big difference between saying, like, I would support an assault weapons ban from Congress versus saying that I would ban assault weapons as an executive action. Those are two very, very, very different things. And he was making the claim for the latter, not the former. Biden has said the same stuff. Yeah, I'm sure any Democratic president right now would probably support an assault weapons ban. Yeah, it's probably the party platform, unfortunately. Develop and implement training for site agents on directing canine sweeps if a specialized technical security division agent is not assigned to a site. Response non-concur. The April 7, 2022 update to OPO 06, previously noted in the memorandum, addresses the intent of this recommendation. Specifically, OPO 06 provides direction to agents on how to proceed when specialist personnel are unavailable to assist, thus ensuring the continuity of operations protection. Secret Service activities getting the need for site and agents to get trained. Okay. That's a fair response. Okay. One of the recommendations is that the Secret Service needs to develop and implement training for site agents on directing canine sweeps if a specialized technical security division agent is not assigned to a site. Response non-concur. We already have directives basically on how to proceed when specialized personnel are not available to assist, thus ensuring the continuity of operations and the protection of Secret Service protectees, negating the need for site agents to be trained on directing canine sweeps. Furthermore, the Secret Service maintains that a search for improvised explosive devices conducted by military-trained explosive ordnance disposal technicians during a search of a protected site is a specialized area of technical expertise. EOD technicians rely on months of specialized training combined with real-world experience when searching for these hazardous devices. Accordingly, training a site agent to direct sweeps or searches represents an overly simplistic response to a complex issue. The level of expertise required to ensure the safety of the President, the Vice President, and the Vice President-elect is a task the Secret Service executes to the highest standards and will therefore continue to require high standards to coordinate, conduct, or direct the search of a protected site for these devices. In addition, this recommendation does not account for the technical level of expertise required to properly conduct a search or sweep and is proposing an action that is equivalent to suggesting that site agents should receive training to conduct a counter-sniper advance in the absence of a CS team. The Secret Service has multiple specialized units to provide the subject matter expertise required to protect all protectees, and a generalist approach to any aspect of conducting a protective advance is not a direction that the Secret Service intends to adopt. Makes sense? The fuck is this? Okay. This video cites this article. Do you think Pence was right to be worried, or was it sensationalism? Was this video sensationalism?
But first, there's a key story about January 6th that's been, to a certain degree, hiding in plain sight all this time. And we're learning more about it in ways that I think suggest something new, a newer dimension to what happened on that day. It's the story of how tensions rose between Donald Trump, president, and his vice president, Mike Pence, as Trump attempted to get Pence to do his bidding and overturn the election for him, effectively, unilaterally, and lawlessly. Now, we know the basic facts about the moment when Pence's refusal to comply and subvert the will of the voters came to a head. But the significance of that scene has taken a much darker tone as we've learned more details about it. So on the morning of January 6th, right, Trump made one last appeal to Pence at a huge rally at the ellipse, although it sounded, frankly, more like a threat.
Mike Pence, I hope you're going to stand up for the good of our Constitution and for the good of our country. And if you're not, I'm going to be very disappointed in you. I will tell you right now.
We then watched as
He should. I think there were 4 or 5 different quotes that they could have used. It wasn't just one. It was a lot. He said he said this a lot. I think I bolded all these. And he looked at Mike Pence, and I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. Because if Mike Pence does the right thing, we win the election. All he has to do, this is from the number one, or certainly one of the top constitutional lawyers in our country, is the absolute right to do it. We're supposed to protect our country, support our country, States want to revote. The states got defrauded. They were given false information. They voted on it. Now they want to recertify it. They want it back. All Vice President Pence has to do is send it back to the states. And actually, I just spoke to Mike. I said, Mike, that doesn't take courage. What takes courage is doing nothing. That takes courage. And then we're stuck with a president who lost the election by a lot, and we have to live with that for 4 more years. We're just not going to... Wait, I'm sorry. It was more than 4 times. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Are all of these calls to Pence? Okay, 8 different calls to Pence. I think all of these were different calls to Pence. Yeah.
The mob, at Trump's urging, marched to the Capitol, where they broke in and ransacked the building, assaulting police officers, roaming the halls, chanting, "Hang Mike Pence! Hang Mike Pence!" Some of them even erected a gallows with the news outside the building. And as the danger became apparent, the Secret Service evacuated the Vice President from the Senate chamber, where he was presiding over the election certification proceedings as stipulated in the Constitution and American law. Now, we know, thanks to reporting from Washington Post journalists Carol Leonnig and Philip Rucker, that Pence first went to his ceremonial office at the Capitol, where he was protected by Secret Service agents, but vulnerable because the second-floor office had windows, and those windows could be breached, and intruding thugs had gained control of the building. Pence refused 2 requests from the agents in charge of his detail to evacuate the building, saying, quote, "I'm not leaving the Capitol." As Leonnig and Rucker write, the last thing the vice president wanted was the people attacking the Capitol to see his 20-car motorcade fleeing. That would only vindicate their insurrection.
Wait, what is that quote from? Hold on. Wait, is this citing a WAPO article? There's no way that's not a Pence quote. Pence reportedly told Goebbels, what? Goebbels, "I'm not leaving the Capitol." He was concerned that his 20-car motorcade leaving would vindicate their insurrection. Leonnig and Rucker ad. Yeah, okay. So I don't know if Pence actually said that, or if they're like offering their opinion on Pence's statement. Wait, why am I watching this video?
The third time the Secret Service asked, it was more of an order than a request. They moved Pence down a staircase to a secure subterranean area where his armored limousine awaited. ABC News reporter Jonathan Karl described the scene there in that subterranean chamber as he saw it in official White House photos that Pence has not allowed to be published. He was in a loading dock in a secure subterranean area where his armored limousine awaited. ABC News reporter Jonathan Karl described the scene there in that subterranean chamber as he saw it in official White House photos that Pence has not allowed to be published. He was in a loading dock in an underground parking garage beneath the Capitol complex. No place to sit, no desk, no chairs, nothing. He was in this concrete parking garage, and with his family. And I mean, this is the Vice President of the United States, and he's like holed up in a basement. One of them is his chief of staff, Mark Short, showing him his phone, and it's the tweet of Trump saying Mike Pence didn't have the courage. This is the guy who fled the rioters, and Trump saying he had the courage. And you can see it kind of looks like Pence is grimacing, but you can never really tell. Okay, now listen to Jamie Raskin, member of the January 6th committee, who's been investigating this for 9 months. Describe what happened next.
So when
Wait. Who is this guy? Late Show, Colbert, November 8th. Late Show, Colbert, November 8th. Is that a Secret Service guy, or?
Now, folks, I have not...
Party on
the first...
It's like, what's really going on behind? Have to vote for it. And I think that...
Wait, was it this guy talking? No. That's Jonathan Karl from ABC. 7 years ago.
Now, folks...
Oh. Just kidding. Wait. Hold on. Stephen Colbert getting his own late night show and moving off The Daily Show. And then doing his own thing. That was more than 7 years ago? When did this show start? Or not moved off The Daily Show, but moved off The Colbert Report to do The Late Show. 2015. Oof. Oof. Okay. Okay. I would have guessed that was like 4-ish years ago, but okay, if you say so. All right. Anyway, okay. Sorry. Okay, 7:52.
Welcome back, everybody.
There and see him
There's so little talent. Some people have it. Some people.
defeated, impeached, on the verge of being prosecuted. I mean, the idea that he would come back?
There's no way Voldemort will come back. Some people don't. Your response? What's it? How do you like the review?
Yeah, no, it was good. Better code word to describe the assassination plot on Lincoln, to describe Trump's campaign, come bombing in 1995.
What did she do? Did she break the internet? What did she do?
There are a couple little Kim Kardashians. You know, Kim wanted me to do this for you. Get me some NFL stars to come to the White House. Get me some NFL stars to come. And Kim Kardashian, being really dedicated to this cause, went to her friends, NFL friends. You know, she used to be with Reggie.
I'm wondering if you're considering the possibility that the U.S. government should expand past a two-party system. If so, why? We need a party for lol. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well, she knows some of these guys, and they all refused. It was after January 6th. None of them wanted to and after January 6th.
Mean that he sort of failed his way through his life, or failed?
Virtually everybody who came into contact with him literally ended up in prison, ended up saddled with legal. He won the greatest upset victory in the history of American politics in 2016. But then he managed to go out and lead the Republican Party. Every effort that he took ended in loss.
Well, of Donald Trump too. Like, why do you think he's such a last?
DeSantis in polls. In one Wall Street Journal. You can only go back to 4 years ago. The world was relatively.
Your public?
Apparently, there was an unplanned sequel in the works that I just didn't know about.
Were you surprised that there's more to the Trump show?
Look, I thought that was the final act. I mean, I thought maybe we'd have a little curtain call, but nobody thought that you would go from there and see him mount a comeback to once again becoming the dominant figure in the world. From there and see him mount a comeback to.
Wait. Wait, what? Is it not part of this? I just want to hear this.
2020 election, he lost not just to Joe Biden, but then he lost dozens of legal cases. He lost his effort to try to get his vice president to turn it over. He lost in his effort to get Congress to try to upend the election. Every effort that he took ended in loss.
Well, if he's such a loser and he spreads, losing like a contagion. Withholding things that belong to us. Hey, everybody!
Shut up.
No.
What is? You've talked to the man recently.
Wrong video, different color suit. Oh, this one.
I went down to see him, but he was utterly delusional. In Mar-a-Lago, he made me do this interview. But yeah, he wanted to be seen. But we're in the middle of the lobby, and I'm asking about January 6th, one of the darkest days in American history. And he's talking about how many people came out to see him. Images of that entire period, including the roughly 5 hours where Pence was hidden away in the bowels of the Capitol in a place nobody's ever really known, because he refused to leave. He wanted to stay there. They got him out of the Senate chamber, and they took him somewhere. Nobody else.
While people are erecting gallows across the street.
Exactly. And so I got a hold of the photographer. I actually saw all of the photographs. I saw all the photographs. And by the way, it is wild to see that he was in a loading dock in an underground parking garage beneath the Capitol complex. No place to sit, no desk, no chairs, nothing. He was in a concrete parking garage, and with his family. And I mean, this is the Vice President of the United States, and he's like holed up in a basement. And I went to the Vice President, the former Vice President, and I asked him if I could publish those photographs. I think they're part of the historical record.
I understand. One of the photographs is him literally looking at the tweet of the president saying, Mike Pence.
One of them is his chief of staff.
Oh, that would be such an epic photo. I wonder why he doesn't want those shared. Jesus, that would be a wild photo with a wild caption.
Staff, Mark Short, showing him his phone, and it's the tweet of Trump saying Mike Pence didn't have the courage. This is the guy who fled the rioters, and Trump is saying he didn't have the courage. And you can see it kind of looks like Pence is grimacing, but you can never really tell. I don't know. But the fight you referred to is they refused to let me publish the photographs. But I have a suspicion that the January 6th committee is going to want to see those photos.
Oh shit! Hold on. Some of these were published by the J6 committee.
Photos from the National Archives that show Vice President Pence sheltering in a secure underground location.
Oh shit! They do have it. Oh Jesus! I can't imagine being down here, having fled your fucking office, 20 yards away from delusional fucking magatard people invading the Capitol, and fucking Trump. Oh, and Trump tweets this out. Holy shit.
Show Vice President Pence sheltering in a secure underground location as rioters overwhelmed the Capitol. At 4:19 p.m., Vice President Pence is seen looking at a tweet the president had just sent, a tweet asking the rioters to leave the Capitol. After 4.5 hours spent on working to restore order, the Vice President returned to the Senate floor to continue the certification of electors.
So Vice President Pence was a focus of the violent attack. Mr. Jacob, did the Vice President leave the Capitol complex during the attack?
Does the basement count? Oh.
Can you please explain why the Vice President refused to leave the Capitol complex?
When we got down to the secure location, Secret Service directed us to get into the cars, which I did. And then I noticed that the vice president had not. So I got out of the car that I had gotten into, and I understood that the vice president had refused to get into the car. The head of his Secret Service detail, Tim, had said, "I assure you we're not going to drive out of the building without your permission." And the vice president had said something to the effect of, "Tim, I know you, I trust you, but you're not the one behind the wheel." And the vice president did not want to take any chance that the world would see the vice president of the United States fleeing the United States Capitol. He was determined that we would complete the work that we had set out to do that day, that it was his constitutional duty to see through, and that the rioters who had breached the Capitol would not have the satisfaction of disrupting the proceedings beyond the day on which they were supposed to be completed.
Let me see if I understand this right. You were told to get in the cars, and how many of the vice president's staff got in the cars while he did not?
Most of us.
During
Who is
our
this, Jacob
investigation,
who?
we received
What's this guy's,
testimony
Mr. Jacob?
that while the vice president was in a secure location within the Capitol complex, he continued the business of government. We understand that the vice president reached out to congressional leaders, like the acting Secretary of Defense and others, to check on their safety and to address the growing crisis. In addition, the vice president's chief of staff, Mark Short, made several calls to senior government officials. Here's Mr. Short's testimony regarding his call with Representative Kevin McCarthy.
He indicated that he had some conversation. I don't recall whether it was with the president or somebody at the White House, but I think he expressed frustration that not taking the circumstances as seriously as they should at that moment.
So Mr. McCarthy indicated he'd been in touch with someone at the White House, and he conveyed to you that they weren't taking this as seriously as they should. Yes, you have to answer yes. Yes. Okay.
While the vice president made several calls to check on the safety of others, it was his own life that was in great danger. Mr. Jacob, did Donald Trump ever call the vice president to check on his safety?
He did not.
Mr. Jacob, how did Vice President Pence and Mrs. Pence react to that?
With frustration.
Mr. Jacob, immediately before you and the vice president were evacuated to a secure location within the Capitol, you hit send on an email to John Eastman explaining why his legal theory about the vice president's role was wrong. You ended your email by stating that, quote, "Thanks to your bullshit, we are now under siege." And we'll take a look at that email.
Oof.
And Dr. Eastman replied, and this is hard to believe, but his reply back to you was, "The siege is because you and your boss," presumably referring to the vice president of the United States, "did not do what was necessary to allow this to be aired in a public way so the American people can see for themselves what happened." Mr. Jacob, later that day, you wrote again to Dr. Eastman. Let's show that email on the screen. In that email, you wrote, and I quote, "Did you advise the president that in your professional judgment, the vice president does not have the power to decide things unilaterally?" And you ended that email saying, "It does not appear that the president ever got the memo." Dr. Eastman then replied, "He's been so advised." And he ends his email with, quote, "But you know him. Once he gets something in his head, it's hard to get him to change course," close quote. Mr. Jacob, when Dr. Eastman wrote, "Once he gets something in his head, it's hard to get him to change course," did you understand the he in that email to refer to the president of the United States?
I did.
And Mr. Jacob, did you hear from Dr. Eastman further after the riot had been quelled? And if so, what did he ask?
Late that evening, after the joint session had been...
Okay, I don't know, let's not this.
Now, and those aren't his photos.
No, they're your photos. They're everybody's photos here.
We paid for those
We
photos.
paid for them. They're taken by the White House photographer.
Those are part of the National Archives.
Yes, and they're part of the historic record on a day that we need to see the historic record.
Well, Jonathan, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
The book is Betrayal. It's available.
Okay.
It's his chief of staff, Mark Short, showing him his phone, and it's the tweet of Trump saying Mike Pence didn't have the courage. This is the guy who fled the rioters, and Trump is saying he didn't have the courage. And you can see it kind of looks like Pence is grimacing, but you can never really tell.
Okay, now listen to Jamie Raskin, member of the January 6th committee, who's been investigating this for 9 months. Describe what happened next.
So when his Secret Service agents, including one of them who was carrying the nuclear football with him, were chased out by these neo-fascists, and they ran down to some still undisclosed mysterious place in the Capitol, he uttered what I think are the 6 most chilling words of this entire thing I've seen so far. He said, "I'm not getting in that car."
That's the moment it all came down to, after all the pressure from Trump and his allies to get Mike Pence to do their bidding and keep Donald Trump in office. The insurrectionist mob had breached the building, the Secret Service hustles Pence down into the underground parking garage, and they want to take him away from the Capitol, but he refuses to go. Why does he refuse going? Well, Pence's own chief of staff, Mark Short, says the vice president did not want his evacuation to be the indelible image sent around the world.
He said, "I'm not leaving." And the reason he
because it would have been, that would have been like the victory fucking image of like seeing Mike Pence flee the Capitol. Like it would have been, can you imagine like how amped the fuck up you would be if you managed to get the vice president who failed, that Donald Trump is hyping you up to hate to actually flee the Capitol?
Because he said he did not want our adversaries across the globe to see a 15-car motorcade fleeing the Capitol. I think he exerted enormous leadership under enormous pressure. And I think he, again, despite efforts to have him evacuated, said, I don't want that visual for the world to see. I'm going to stay here.
Okay, so that's what Mark Short says, right? This is an image he doesn't want to project to the world, and so I'm going to stay here for symbolic purposes, essentially. But, Pence was not the only one who did not want to leave the Capitol complex that day, despite the terror unfolding. For example, Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego of Arizona described another immediate tactical reason for staying put.
I saw a bunch of buses pull up, and there were buses to evacuate us. And let me tell you, in coups, when you leave the Capitol, you've lost. And so I started texting every member I could in all of our text chains. I'm like, do not leave. Like, if they tell you to leave, like, do not leave. Like, you're safe for staying here. Like, we get on those buses. There's no guarantee we're ever coming back.
I've been thinking about that since for a long time. We get on those buses, there's no guarantee we're coming back. So that's Ruben Gallego's thought, right? A coup's happening. If the legislators leave, all bets are off. So occupying the physical space of the building, in Gallego's estimation, was actually key to repelling the coup. That's very different than the PR ramifications, the symbolic image of the motorcade. That's the darker interpretation of what was going on when Mike Pence refused to leave, right? That he wasn't just concerned about how the image of the vice president fleeing would look to the world. No, he was actually also concerned about maintaining control of the government, about the American constitutional order, that his role on January 6th was to preside over the peaceful transfer of power. And if the riotous mob, propelled by Donald Trump, succeeded in driving him physically away from the Capitol where he had that duty, he may not have been able to return to finish the job of overseeing the peaceful transfer of power. And that would have allowed the coup to actually take place. And that interpretation, the far darker one, the more dangerous one, the wow, he came close one, that interpretation looks more and more likely as new facts come to light, particularly about the Secret Service's role on January 6th. So on Friday, new testimony released by the committee revealed that a senior Secret Service official warned Mark Meadows of potential violence ahead of January 6th. And Hugo Lowell of The Guardian is reporting that the committee appears to have been examining that official, named Anthony Ornato. A source tells Lowell that Trump gave Ornato a big White House job, deputy White House chief of staff for operations, in part because of the rallies around the area of the Capitol. And Kellogg will fly him to Alaska if you have a chance. Don't do it. Well, I don't know. That sure sounds like it was a Trump loyalist in charge of Pence's security move against her power.
Trump's Secret Service agents were trying to spirit him off of the campus, and he said, I'm not getting in that car until we count the Electoral College votes. He knew exactly what this inside coup they had planned for was going to do. This was not a coup directed at the president. It was a coup directed by the president against the vice president and against the Congress.
And so that's why Pence's 6 words in that moment, I'm not getting in that car, were about so much more than just the image it would send to the world. It appears they were about the fundamental desire from the ex-president and his loyalists to, again, essentially in that moment, rupture the entire constitutional order in order to install Donald Trump by force against the will of the people.
Wow, cute. Okay. All right. Okay, we gotta do this. Nothing crazy here. Okay. All right, I think tomorrow we will go through the, okay, tomorrow's timeline. This note is huge. Hopefully we find something we can debate about this. We'll figure something out. Oh, wait. There you go. Drag somebody from disagreements. Oh. He's deafened. Will he notice in time? What the fuck is this? I've never been to such a farcical press conference. It's been a shambles. Any credibility concerning these failed gender tests is very quickly evacuated. Wait, what is this? Or what's happening? The level of conversation from the IBA's Kremlin. We didn't check what was between their legs. They have men's levels of testosterone. We don't know if they were born like men or some changes intervened at a later stage.
I don't want to interrupt you.
Oh.
Does my mic doesn't work? Does my mic work?
It does now. What's up?
It doesn't? No, you're lying to me.
No, it does now. Hello?
Hi.
Okay, what? Oh, it's a disagreement about something not at all related to anything we talked about today.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay, what? Hit me up. What is it about, real quick?
So, if I remember correctly, the other day you said something about that you don't think trans people should be in sports.
Not at the not past the high school level. Like up to high school, in high school is probably fine, but not past it, I don't think.
Or, I can understand that logic, but I feel like you're not taking it far enough. Where, like, you can see the comparison with like an intersex person, and they're in the Olympics, right? But when somebody is on hormones for a long while, their body is pretty much indifferent from an intersex person. So well, I don't understand why.
First of all, intersex is an incredibly vague term. What do you mean by that? And and also,
pretty much
however we
everyone.
argue here, if you're going to argue that intersex is closer to hormone profiles of trans people, I'm probably going to say, yeah, certain intersex people should probably be prohibited as well, depending on, you'd make some standard for hormones or whatever.
All right. I'm thinking about that one lady who's performing like volleyball or something, boxing, that everybody was fussing about.
Sure. But we don't know anything about her. We don't know if she had off hormones or anything. People are literally just saying she's trans because they are. Because of some fucking weird IBA statement that also doesn't give us much information, but...
Yeah, that is true. But I'm thinking about more of just like a hypothetical, right? So let's say she has like XY chromosomes, but she still has all the physical parts of a woman, etc., and she's like on estrogen to be more aligned to what a cis woman may look like, right? And if that is the case, then a woman like a trans woman post-sexual reassignment surgery who's also on estrogen, there's not much of a difference.
Maybe, I don't know. I would just have to see it. I'd have to see data on it, I guess. That sounds like an exceedingly... There's probably like 10 people in the world that match this description of people that are athletes, like at any level maybe, but okay, I'll consider it.
Trans people aren't known to be very athletic, so you're probably right, but I'm just like, in a hypothetical situation, I don't think there'd be much difference at all.
Sure. Okay. Have fun, be careful.
That's it.
Bye.
You too.
Yeah? Wait. Tonight? Are you going tonight? Yeah. Okay. Unless when there is some... Thanks.
Jesus, we got fucking Zordon in the back. My God.
So what I'd like to do is just give you a bit of an overview on where we were and why we come to this situation. And of course, the first thing sports director.
Okay, fuck me. Maybe watch this tomorrow. Okay, have fun, be careful. See you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. All of you are very important and precious and special.